a GA at the international office. Um, I I didn't have to email anybody. We have a platform where usually when you are admitted, you are accepted into the university. You have your institutional email and everything. You can just log in into the platform. It's called the Workday.
Okay.
So FHSU Workday, log in with your details. That's where all assistantships are posted. So after I realized all other departments and even my own department disappointed, I went to that, portal and then applied for that position. So I just applied and waited for them to schedule an interview. So they emailed me that my application has gone through the interview stage. So now I'll have a series of interviews and some questions, to answer. So the first one, they sent a PDF for about 3 questions. Why I want to work with the international office and my experience working with students and um, also faculty members. And they wanted to find out if I've worked with students from different cultural backgrounds. So those were some 3 questions. They wanted me to make a 5-minute video and explain to them. So after that process, I made a video, explained everything to them, and then I think I bypassed that side also. So I passed to the next stage, which was an online interview. So I was going to be interviewed by the coordinator for the International Student Services, Haley Williams, and other 2 people, if I could remember, the DSO, that is Carol Soko, that's her name, and also Phil. He is also at the international office. So all these 3 people were on a Zoom with me. They were asking me questions, how I was able to get my visa without, the funding, because already they had received emails from students saying in Ghana or in Nigeria, in other part of, the world, if you don't have a GA, it's very difficult for you to secure. So how was I able to do it? What did I tell the viewers? What happened and all of that? So I narrated how my visa processing went, how they asked me how they asked me I mean they asked me how I was going to fund my studies in the US. So I had to explain everything, and God being so good, I was able to get the visa. I explained everything, and they realized indeed people can do it without being, given the graduate assistantship and all of that. So they asked me about my they also asked me about my experience working with students. And already I had my, national service at the University of Cape Coast, the student records, where we work with both students and then faculty members. Yeah, so that one was also an advantage for me. And, in Ghana, we do have, 1 or 2 international students. For instance, my class, we had one international student, who was from, I think, whether was it Korea or whatever. So I've had 1 or 2 interactions with people outside the country. We also had Nigerians in my class, so that was also a plus because I did not only work with Ghanaians. I studied with, foreigners. I worked with foreigners. So I was able to explain all of that to them. And I think that really got them convinced. So, but the funny thing is, after the interview and everything, they sent me an email that they are sorry, the position has been filled. I didn't know what the reason was, and I responded to them so I thank them very much for their time. And if there should be any other open positions, I'm available and then they can consider me. So I think 3 weeks for school to start, or 3 weeks for me to leave Ghana to the US, and I had an email from them that they have another open position at the same office. So if I'm interested, I should reply the mail by a specific time. so they can know what to do. So I quickly applied to the email, and then they said if I'm available, they would like to meet me for an interview again. And with the second interview, I realized they had already given me the position. They just wanted, to formally tell me they have given me the GA position,
Yeah.
by hosting me online. So I scheduled a date. They asked me my free time, so I scheduled the date with them, and then we jumped on the Zoom for the second time. And for the second time, it was the same three people. They said, well, they didn't tell me why first. They sent me a rejection, but then they said they have a new, what they said is what I'm saying right now. They said they have a new, position at the office at the moment. So if I'm interested, and it's the same as, it has the same rules as the first one. So if I'm interested, they are willing to hire me and all that. So I told them, yeah, I'm interested. So we ended everything. It lasted about 5 minutes. So after everything ended, I just got an email less than 3 minutes. That's congratulations, you have been, hired to work at the international office, and this is how much you'll be getting. It covers this, it covers that, your stipend, and all of that. So basically, that's how everything went, and finally, I got myself here.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, do you remember, you first got admission, then you went for the visa interview, and then you got approved. Do you remember when you started applying for the GA positions, like on Handshake?
Okay. On the work day,
Yeah.
so they started posting the GA positions from March. But that wasn't my department. Almost all the departments post GA positions, but the first one I saw was from the library. The library needed one graduate assistant to work for them. And then the second one, also in March, was the business department. The business department had about 20 Gs. Yeah, the business, because they have five for finance, five for management, five for accounting, and five for marketing. Yes, but well, if you're able to impress them, even though you are not in any of these majors, I think you may be able to get high, because there are some of the students who are in the informatics department working as GAs at the business department. I came before I realized, those people were working there. So the business department posted. I also applied, but I think because of my major, for them, I didn't hear from them at all. And the next one was the international office. Yes, they posted yes in May, around May. Yeah, and a lot of students or undergrad employment. That is student employment. But those ones I wasn't qualified. So even though I was qualified, but those are just for undergrads, and it doesn't come with tuition waiver. It's just some small stipend. So I was just ignoring them. And I think in June, geoscience department, they also posted some GA positions. Yeah. But that GA positions on the website, they said you should have a car because it's some miles away from the school. So I got to campus before I realized they have um they have it's like, how do I even put it? Um they have a lab outside campus about some miles away that
Okay.
they needed students who are willing to get a car
Mm.
once they arrive on campus, or who
Oh,
already have a
okay.
car. Yeah,
Mm.
so even though it is open to everyone, if you do not have a car, I don't think you'll be able to commute to the place.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah, and so I didn't apply because I knew there was no way I was going to be able to go to work every day and all of that. And they also posted a different one, the same geoscience department, a research assistant at their department. And they listed, the courses you should have been taking and all of that. And since I didn't do geoscience, I knew
Mm.
I didn't qualify, so I just ignored. And I paid attention to the one from the international office, and God been so good. I was able to get in. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So that's how everything was. The GA I started seeing them from end of March. Yes, on the red day.
One of the questions you were asked has had to do with when you were interviewing for the international office
Mhm.
position
Yeah.
was whether you've worked with people with diverse backgrounds, and
Yes.
you talked about some Nigerian colleagues and all of that. How did you tell your story in terms of the kind of help that you offered to these foreigners?
Okay. So basically, not only in my class, but in other classes too. So in the international office, sorry, at the student records, I'm in charge of, usually when students resume and they have issues with their course registration and all of that, that's where they come. And not only domestic students come there, international students
Yeah.
also come there. So when they
Mm.
come, I offer help, get them to register their courses. And then sometimes if a student is having an IC that's incomplete, they may be disturbed, worried how they can be able to register. So I'll just guide them that, hey, this is what you have to do. This, the person has to go and see, talk to this lecturer. This is what, all those tricks and techniques, how to get the students, register their courses and be able to start the semester. I was providing all those services to the students. And that wasn't only with the domestic students, but international students as well. Yeah, so I explained how I was having an encounter with them, getting to help them, have their courses registered and getting them to see their lecturers to select the required courses for the particular semester and all of that. Yeah, and also we had faculty coming in to resolve issues for students and other stuff. So in that way, I was getting the opportunity to work with the students and also
Yeah.
the faculty members.
Yeah. Do you remember the average time you spent on each interview?
Well, the first interview I had with the international office lasted about 15 minutes.
50,
Yes,
50,
15, 15,
15.
15.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
that was good.
usually, yeah, 15 minutes. But the second one lasted about 3 to 5 minutes. It didn't keep long. Yeah, yeah,
And the funding that you got, did they cover everything? How, I mean, we've already talked about this before, but,
yeah, yeah.
for the sake of those watching, what did they cover? And how many hours do you work for the international office?
Okay, so in Fortes, if you are a graduate assistant, we have graduate assistant and graduate teaching assistant. If you are being hired for a graduate teaching assistantship, it covers everything. It waives all your tuition, excluding the health insurance, and you also get a stipend. But with a graduate assistant, that's mine. It didn't waive everything. I had to pay in state. So it's like
What
I'm
is
being
what is what is in states?
in state is like they classified my tuition like an American, like somebody who is living in America, like the domestic students. How do you pay? Yeah, they pay as in-state residents, especially those living in Kansas and some states are surrounded Kansas, like if you're from Iowa, Colorado, those states, you be allowed to pay in-state, which is way lesser than how much international students are paying. So I was offered to pay an in-state tuition instead of the out of state, and also giving stipend for the whole academic year. And the week it's 19 hours a week. Yeah, so I'm supposed to be at the office 19 hours a week. So my time is scheduled. Maybe on Mondays, I'll be at the office for 4 hours. I had my own place I was working, so 4 hours. Tuesday, maybe 5 hours. Thursday, 3 hours. Maybe Friday, just 2 hours. Yeah, so, but by the end of the week, you should work for 19 hours. Yes.
Yeah, the in-state thing, I've talked about it before. So the in-state is like, if let's say your family are in the same states or maybe the surrounding states, right? And it's like they pay taxes to the states. Like the state benefits directly from their services, right? Their income and stuff like that. And so if you are going to that school, it means that because your family pay taxes to the state, or even you, before, because you pay taxes, you get that kind of a reduction in the tuition and stuff like that. So that is the just to add to what you said. You work 19 hours. What do you do with the 1 hour, the extra 1 hour, the remaining 1 hour? What do you do with that? How
Well,
many how many hours are you allowed to work?
yeah, in the contract, it's 19 hours.
Okay.
Yes, in the contract, it's 19 hours. So the remaining hours is for my academic work.
Okay. So, but you can work 20 hours, right?
Well, I can be at the office as long as I want. But in the contract, it's 19 hours. So I just have to stick to the night. Unless maybe I have some extra things doing that I may just still stay in the office. Yeah, but in the contract, once it's 19 hours,
Yeah.
any hours you do, you are not being paid for. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, they will tell you how many hours. My GA, they will tell me, 20 hours, but then I don't do 20 hours. I do way less than 20 hours. But then because it's 20 hours, it means that I cannot do more than that. The
yeah,
reason I'm asking you this is that if let's say you have a GA position which is 10 hours a week, right?
okay,
Which is more like partial GA or something. The remaining 10 hours, you can actually do some campus jobs or something and get some
yes, yes,
money
yes.
because your contract allows you. So I was just confused why yours is 19 hours. So what is that 1 hour
So
doing
the remaining
there?
1 hour, you can't do any other course for 1 hour. No 1 hour you to
I
tell me that
mean,
1 hour.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This external scholarships, external GAs, yeah. Based on we are going to find out from Richie's story, but I have spoken with him and I have an idea about you know his the process he went through. So it looks like working with students is a big deal, right? It looks like
Yeah,
that's a big deal. That gives you an advantage.
yeah,
So
well, if you have some kind of experience working with students, you know, whether
yeah,
you are going to work for the residential housing or any other departments,
yeah,
even with the GTAs, or you have to still have an experience working with students
yeah,
because that's what you are coming to, do here. And
yeah,
also, you have some experience working with students from cultural background because in the US, the students are from so many countries and you have that, experience also.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sammy, thanks a lot. You've talked about so many things, and I think it's very clear to everyone who is watching. What it entails. Question: If I come to you that I'm preparing for my graduate assistantship interview, what advice will you give me? What are some of the tips that you give me?
Okay, so it will depend on the role. Usually, when they post the assistantship position, it comes with roles attached to it. Yeah, so you read about the role and then you also look at what you have done previously that are related to the role. Even if you might think you have not done anything, related to what you are applying for. But one way or the other, since you are a student and the role is, unless maybe, even if it is a graduate assistantship position and during school you had, an encounter with your colleagues, group presentations, you taught them one thing or, the other, they are all part of teaching experience. Yes. So you don't necessarily have to be a teaching assistant after grad. You can be working in a company, but during your interview, you can chip in. That whilst you're in school, you even organize tutorial sessions for, um, level 100 students or even level 200 students. When you were in your final year, that's all you did. Or you can even say, you had a group presentations with your colleagues where you played, major role, contributed, explained concept of maybe a topic to them and all of that. So whichever way, all your plans or all your answers should come from, the job description they will write on the website. Or because mostly they also ask you questions based on the resume you have sent them. Some people will send them a resume and out of your resume, you are being asked questions and you can't even answer them. Yeah, so before you appear for maybe your assistantship interview, you should review your resume, have a copy in front of you, and also read the job descriptions. and then find things you have done in the past that relate to the job, and be open-minded to answer any question, because you don't know the question they're asking you. So just be open-minded and ready to, if they ask you a question and you don't know what to say, try and then, talk around it or say something. You can't just keep mute or say something different from what they are even being asked. They are asking you. So
Yeah.
my advice will be my advice for people who are, at this season, we are starting March. Most people are now applying for assistantships. Some have already, I know some people who have already, been interviewed for assistantships in higher education. Yeah. And, so this season from now till, let's say, June, most people have gotten their admissions and are waiting for assistantships. So just be open minded. Yeah, well, as my brother said, you can also use, AI to
Yeah.
get an overview or even the description of the job they have posted. You can copy everything and post it, in an AI, and ask them to explain the description. Some of the descriptions are not really clear, so you can
Yeah.
ask AI to break down whatever they are asking you to do in the job role, or what are the possible questions they are likely to ask. Yes, from this job description. So once you get them, you can start reading around, and I think you'll be fine. Yeah,
Yeah, I think there are some people who think AI is bad, but the reality is that if you want to get ahead of others, you have to know how to use AI. It's not like you just go and then you pick AI and then you just type something. No, that's where people get it wrong. But you can be very smart and use AI to make everything, the answers that you get, as personal as possible. And like Richard was saying, you get the AI to tell you possible questions and some of the things to look out for and stuff like that. But then you have to connect it to your own story, like who you are, what you have been doing, and then so that becomes more personal. So yeah, AI can be very helpful, honestly,
yeah,
but you have to know how to use it. So yeah, you guys have said so many things. Wow, that's amazing. So I mean, if you are preparing for your GA interview, I think this session has given you everything that you need. I don't really think there's more that you guys have to give, because I think you guys have made everything as clear as possible, right? In terms of the diversity, equity, and inclusion, like what you guys said, like I think everything is clear enough, right?